My dream relationship, the person I've been waiting all my life, just walked by and I missed it. Why? Because I'm paying attention to the anger. It hangs around your energy field and it's not going to move until you clear it. You haven't been able to be your authentic self because you're too focused on the anger. You weren't paying attention. Now you're paying attention and your life is going to open up.
Do you think that people can heal without forgiving?
Now, what if you can never forgive that unforgivable person? Just because I forgive you doesn't mean I want a relationship with you. You can forgive politicians, dare I say. You can forgive your football team that lost last week. If it pisses you off, excuse my language, but if it pisses you off, you can forgive it. There are some negative effects that might happen too. When you change your vibration, when you change your energy,
You talk about forgiveness as a form of personal empowerment. What would you say to those who feel powerless in the face of deep betrayal or trauma?
the thing about forgiveness is everybody tells us we have to forgive. Your pastor, your parents, your teachers. Nobody tells you how to forgive. And then you have run into the problem. What if you don't want to? What if it's an unforgivable act and you legitimately don't want to forgive them? Then what do you do? So, a few things with forgiveness. On a 10 scale, with 10 being unforgivable dumpster fire and 1 being the easiest person in the world to forgive, everybody listening and watching this broadcast, everybody is thinking of their number 10 person. And that, at the end of the day, is why nobody wants to forgive. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean I want a relationship with you. Probably don't. May not even be appropriate. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean I'm all of a sudden giving you a pass and admitting that you're right. That trips up so many people. And I think it stems from our childhood when we're like in the sandbox, when we're kids in kindergarten, and the teacher says, now say you're sorry and go play. I think that's where it stems from. And it's wrong. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean you're right. You're still wrong. Forgiveness for me means I want you out of my head. That's it. I want you out of my head. I want to stop thinking about you. I want to stop dreaming about you. I don't want to go into a bakery and smell a muffin and immediately think of you. I want you gone. And when it comes to those unforgivable people, and yourself might be one of those unforgivable people, forgiving yourself is just as hard. The reason I'm telling people you don't have to forgive the unforgivable, and I'm the only one who will tell you that, is because there's so many other people, places, and things you can forgive. Stay with me. I did say places and things that you can forgive before you even get to that number 10 horrible person.
Okay, you started out by saying that that we don't know how to forgive. So I want to stay there for a moment on the how, but then I
Okay.
also want to dive into going back to someone that's facing deep betrayal or trauma and they want to forgive. So let's say that they do or they think they do, but they still feel that anger and that resentment that creeps in. Does that mean that they didn't forgive? Is there something else that they need to do?
Forgiveness is an onion, and you have to chip away at it, and it's got many layers. With my forgiveness system, I'm going to have you sit down and write a list of the people that you think you need to forgive, right? And I want you to not even think about it. And I know that most people are going to want to use their cell phone, but I'd actually prefer it if you just used an old-fashioned pen and paper because there's something magical that happens when it leaves your brain and it travels down your arm onto a piece of paper. It just sticks more. So I'm going to have you write a list of all the people, and then I'm going to have you rate them from 1 to 10. 10 being horrific, 1 being really easy, like the person who cut you off on I-95 South yesterday. You can forgive that person. The person who stole your lunch yesterday in the office cafeteria. I hope you can forgive that person. You know, the person who tripped you in the hall in high school. Come on now, you can forgive these people. Easy people. Maybe your football team lost last week. You could forgive the football team. I'm actually not kidding. Really
Mhm.
easy. So I'm going to have you, when you come up with your list, I'm going to have you rate these people from 1 to 10. Now you could have 9 number 4s if you want to. I don't care. You could skip a number. I also don't care. But I want you to start with the easy ones, and I want you to move your way all the way to the unforgivables, and you do those last. Now the special sauce to the whole method is, a lot of people will come up to me and say, I have done the work. I have forgiven them. And you did. But they're not staying forgiven, are they? You go on Facebook or you run into them at a party and the memory comes right back and you're angry again. So what happened? You didn't forgive the energy. Einstein clearly proved that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just transforms from one thing to another. So when you get angry, you think your emotions leave your mouth because you're yelling at somebody or whatever's going on. And you think it just magically dissipates in the universe. In fact, you're probably not even thinking about where that energy goes. Well, it doesn't. It hangs around your energy field and it's not going to move until you clear it. So the mantra that, and I have a visual I can show you to help with that thought. But the mantra I'm going to have you say, and there's worksheets and stuff in the book and all that kind of stuff. But I'm a very simple soul. You don't have to burn incense unless that's what you like to do. You don't have to hold crystals and dance unless you really like to dance and hold crystals. I'm a big fan. But it's a
Mhm.
very simple thing. I want you to turn off your cell phones. There is an off button. And if that's making you visibly twitch, promise me you'll at least mute it. I want you to be alone for like 10, 15 minutes. I want you to do this before bed. There's a reason for that too. I want you to put your hand on your heart because that reminds you to speak from your heart. And the words are just for the humans. It's really the energy behind the words that's going to mean the most difference. And I want you to say, I completely forgive Jessica. I completely forgive the energy around Jessica. I completely forgive myself. I forgive the energy around myself. I completely forgive the energy around the entire situation, and so be it. Godspeed. Amen. End it any way you like. That's it. Now, that magic formula is going to do something. If it's a level 1 person, you'll check in with your body after you say that. Are you still angry? No? Cross the name off the list. Are you still angry? Okay, wait 24 hours, do it again. Did you do a number 3 level person? Now they're a 7. Ooh, what happened? Your brain is the most amazing tool. Absolutely brilliant. And it protects you. And what it's doing is it's thinking, ooh, Jessica's ready to open that back closet in her mind that she's had padlocked all this time. Let's open it up and flood her with memories that she doesn't remember. And that's what happens. That's why it's an onion. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So let me show you that visual just so it's clear for people. If you're listening to this, pop over and watch the video. But for those listening, I'm about to hold a purple coffee cup right in front of my face. This
Mhm.
cup represents bitterness and anger. And when I first get angry, well, look how easy it is. Look at my body language. You and I can have a conversation. I can hold it off to the side. Super easy. I can manage my anger. How many people have said that to you? Easily managed. I got this. It's usually men. No disrespect to men, but a lot of men say that. And the trouble is humans irritate other humans. So we're going to keep putting more disappointment and bitterness and resentment in the cup as the time goes on. So now I'm using 2 hands to hold the cup up. It's starting to creep into my conversations and it's starting to affect my life. I can still manage it pretty well, but it's starting to bother me. I'm starting to think about it more. And if I keep holding on to the cup and I keep putting more stuff in, now I'm holding the cup in front of my face. My life has stopped. I can't see you, and I'm missing opportunities. My dream job might have just come in via email. I missed it because I'm not paying attention. My dream relationship, the person I've been waiting all my life, just walked by and I missed it. Why? Because I'm paying attention to the anger. I'm telling stories. I'm dreaming about it. I'm telling people about it. And I'm getting sick and tired. Why? Because I'm not paying attention. And maybe my friends have gone down to 1 or 2. Why? Who wants to be around me? I'm on negative all the time, and this is all I talk about. So the forgiveness system is going to allow you to change your energy so you can actually pay attention again and you'll feel better.
To forgive the unforgivable, which would be a number 10, we're going to get quiet, basically silence our phones, sit with ourselves, and let ourselves feel the anger in our bodies and release it.
Number 10s are a bear. They're really hard. I have a really close friend who had a number 10 and she was so angry at this person from her past, she couldn't forgive the person. She couldn't even bring herself to forgive the energy around the person. She was so angry. So what do? Well, the first thing I'm going to have you do if you're really that stuck is I want you to say for the next 5 nights in a row, I completely forgive myself for not being able to forgive and the energy around this thought. That's it. Say that for 5 days. I completely forgive myself for not being able to forgive my mother and the energy around this thought. That's a lot more clear. Say that one every night for the next 5 days. The energy, I promise you, is going to start moving. And in 5 days, you might be more willing maybe to just forgive the energy around your mother, for example. If you still can't, I'm going to have you pick apart the memory. I did say you can forgive people, places, and things. Everything has energy around it, including this little microphone that I have here on my desk. It's an inanimate I can't say that word. Inanimate object. I think I got it right. That's right, right? So let me give you an example. You're driving down the road. I use this example all the time because it's pretty clear. You're driving down the road, you're going to work. On the corner is your elementary school where you were bullied. By the time you get to work, you're angry. You're not even sure why, but you're cutting everybody's head off and you're just really grumpy. Why? Because you've accessed that movie that's playing in the back of your head that you didn't even know was there. And it's just back there playing until you forgive it and you get rid of the memory. And you remembered the bully in the playground. So how do you exercise that? Well, this is one of my own memories. And I couldn't forgive the bullies from my childhood. So I forgave other things in the memories. I chose one memory and I forgave the pieces of the memory. I forgave the school building where my elementary school was, and I forgave the energy around that building. I forgave the desk, the table, the chair, the playground, the swing set. I forgave the people that stood around and didn't help me, and the energy around all these things. This is a marathon, not a sprint. This is going to take a minute to get this person down. You're not going to get a number 10 person down to a 1 overnight. Not going to happen. You might get it down to a 9, down to an 8. And you need to wait 24 to 48 hours in between each pass to give your body time to process what you've done. And slowly you'll be able to get these people down. Now, what if you can never forgive that unforgivable person? Forgive what you can and keep going. I believe with every fiber of my being that there are unforgivable people and situations out there. Maybe a unicorn person could forgive these things, but they're so dark that I truly believe they're unforgivable. Um, I suggest you forgive the memory, yourself, the energy of this situation, and keep going. Maybe sometime in years future, you will be able to circle back and forgive that person, and maybe not. Be kind to yourself. Keep going. Forgive what you can and keep going. But this is why I want you to start with the easy ones. The ones, the twos, the threes, the fours. Start with the easy ones because you're going to start to feel better. Your world is going to start to open up. But a few things happen when you start to forgive. Your energy is going to change. And that leads me into a little science.
Before we go
There,
there, before
go
we go
ahead.
there, I'd like to pause for a moment. Do you think that the anger stays in us until it's taught us what we need to learn?
Ooh, I love your questions. There's a saying out there that says anger is toxic. It lives in your body until you clear it. Okay, how? How is this possible? There was a study done, you can Google it, it's right online. It's called the Japanese water study. And it's a guy named, I keep saying Matsumoto, but I'm not, after this podcast, I'm gonna have to look it up because I'm not convinced that's the right name, but it'll get you where you need to go. And you just Google Japanese water study. And what the guy did is he took 2 containers of water. I'm simplifying this. One container, all he did was talk to the water. Not kidding. He said he loved it. He didn't do anything else. He said beautiful things to this little container of water. The other container of water, hatred. Horrible. The worst sentences and words he could come up with, he pummeled that poor little thing of water. Then he froze the water and he put it under a microscope. The water he spoke love to had these beautiful formations, like crystal, snowflakey, gorgeous formations. The water he spoke hate to had black and brown malformation and was ugly. Pictures are right online. They're fascinating. Why am I telling you this? The human body is over 95% water. So when you have negative self-talk, when you are angry and you're holding on to this anger, what do you think you're doing to the water cells in your body? And what are those water cells doing to your organs? So when I tell you that I want you to do this at night, I genuinely mean this because those cells have to go someplace. When I first did this, this is a sample of do as I say, not as I did. I actually do my own exercises, but I didn't know any better when I first did this, when we first came up with this method. So I wrote down maybe 50 people. I really did. And I thought, this is going to be great. I'm going to be like a phoenix rising from the ashes. I'm going to be a butterfly. I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning. I'm going to be a brand new person. It's going to be a new day. Okay, didn't really work out the way I wanted it to because I did forgive many people on the list, but I spent the next 3 days in bed with what everybody thought was a stomach flu. It was not the stomach flu. It was my body trying to transmute decades of anger. So I really only want you to do up to 10 at a time because I don't want you to make yourself sick. You might be in the bathroom for a little bit. Don't be upset. You didn't eat bad fish. This is just your body. Most people get really sleepy, which is why you do it before bed and your body heals itself. My older son felt his shoulders get lighter and he thought it was weird. He's in his 20s and he thought, my shoulders, this is weird. Why do my shoulders feel lighter? Yet they did. I usually feel movement in my solar plexus. And for anybody who doesn't know, it's above your belly button, right below your chest. It's kind of right in the middle of your body. And so you're going to feel something. And this is a life-changing formula that's going to help clear your life. So the person you came down on the planet to be, now you can be your authentic self because you haven't been able to be your authentic self because you're too focused on the anger. You weren't paying attention. Now you're paying attention and your life is going to open up.
Is there ever a situation where forgiveness is not the right path? And how do you differentiate between forgiving and healthy boundaries?
I think forgiving and healthy boundaries is one of the same. That goes along the saying of just because I forgive you doesn't mean I want a relationship with you. I have forgiven people in my past, number 10 people. I have actually gotten them down to a forgivable level, which is like a 1, 2, or 3. But it doesn't mean I want a relationship with them. It doesn't mean I want to talk to them. I've set boundaries. I'm the queen when every once in a while they'll call and I'm the queen of small talk and weather and keeping the conversation on them, especially if they're a narcissist. That's easy. Just keep the conversation on them. They're happy. But I'm the queen of that kind of thing. And if you want to divorce somebody, it could be a family member, parent, sibling, friend, ex-business partner, set the boundaries. It may be completely toxic for you to continue a relationship with this person. So just because I forgive you doesn't mean I'm setting you free. I'm setting myself free because I want you out of my head. But I'm going to keep the boundaries in place because you're still awful.
Now, do you tell that person, I'm forgiving you and I no longer want to have a relationship with you?
Oh, I love that question. I have been sober for 35 years. It was the only New Year's resolution I actually ever kept. And when you get sober, you are told to go through the step program. And one of the steps, I think it's a 4th step, it's been a while, you have to make amends with people. Your girl here was painfully shy. I am what they call an extroverted introvert now, which means I can turn it on and off at will because I've taught myself how to do it. But back then, painfully shy. So telling me that I had to call people up on the phone because I'm very old and we didn't have all these wonderful gadgets back then. It was the 19, never mind what year it was. But calling them up on the phone, they might yell at me. I had no desire to do any of that. But I did want to forgive them. So, you just kind of pay it lip service and hope it sticks because nobody knows what they're doing when it comes to that. My system requires you do not have to reach out to these persons. So everybody can take a nice deep breath, sigh of relief. You don't have to reach out to these people. May not even be appropriate. You do this in the privacy of your own home, all by yourself. Nobody has to know you're doing it. You don't have to tell anybody. That being said, because it doesn't matter where the person is or isn't, because you're not doing it for them, you're not reaching out to them, you're doing it for you, you could forgive dead people too, to be quite honest, because if they're alive and well in your head, then it's forgivable. If it's a situation
Amazing.
that makes you angry, it's forgivable. You can forgive anything. You can forgive politicians, dare I say. You can forgive your football team that lost last week. If it pisses you off, excuse my language, but if it pisses you off, you can forgive it. You can forgive anything on CNN. You can forgive the war in the Middle East if that's what's really making you angry. What's it going to do for the war in the Middle East? Absolutely nothing, but it's going to free you. You're going to be the one, you're the victim, and you're the one who will be freed from it.
You said you don't need to reach out to each person, but what if you forgive them on your own and then they reach out to you?
That happened to me actually. Sometimes this energy it's like the law of gravity. The law of gravity is an energy that works whether you believe it or not. I can call the law of gravity the law of keeping Jessica on the earth. It doesn't care. It's going to work. Well, I don't believe in the law of gravity. Still doesn't care. It's still going to work. The law of forgiveness is the same thing. It's going to work. And it's a very powerful energy that you can't see. So I actually do my own stuff. And it was a level one person from my childhood. And I went to school with this person, hadn't talked to her in like 30 plus years. And I thought, I can forgive this person because I couldn't even remember why we had a falling out. And she was on my paper and I labeled her a one. I thought, I can do this. So I said my own mantra and I imagined that she was standing in front of my bed as she was when I knew her as a child, not the adult version of her. I looked at the kid version, even though I was in my 50s. This was like 10 years ago, but even though I was in my 50s at the time, I still thought about her as we were in high school. And then I said a few things. Before you say the forgiveness mantra, maybe you want to let them have it verbally. Go for it. You're alone in a room. This is your party. You could scream, you could cry, you could do everything you want. Get it off your chest. If you can't imagine the person in your mind's eye, put a chair in front and pretend she's sitting in the chair. Talk to the chair. Maybe put their name or their picture on the chair if you need a visual. So I said what I needed to say, and then I said that forgiveness mantra that I mentioned. And I imagine she walked out the door because I didn't want her to float out the window because just that visual didn't do much for me. 2 hours later, she calls me up on the phone. Now, I'm a concierge trainer by trade. I'm retired now, but that's what I did for many, many years. And my concierge training kicked in almost immediately because I was shocked out of my mind. I mean, floored. So we said all the right words, we made all the right noises, we forgave each other, did what people usually do, but I couldn't stand it. I said, I'm a curious little bear. I have to know. After all these years, why did you call me today? She said, it was the darndest thing. 2 hours ago, which was exactly when I was saying this forgiveness mantra, a figurine you gave me in school fell off my shelf, landed in the middle of the floor, and I
What?
saw it and thought I should give you a call. She was 700 miles away. So if forgiveness energy has the power to move a figurine 700 miles away, and it has the power to change the water molecules in your body, what do you think it's going to do to your life when you get to a higher number person, like a level 5, 6, or even a level 10 person? What do you think it's going to do? This is life-changing stuff. But remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. step by step thing. It is like an onion, and you think you've gotten to the center of the onion. Take this from personal experience. And I thought I got to the center of an onion, and what happened? Another damn onion appeared. I was so mad. But it's just one of those things. I do this every night before bed. Now, I've been doing this a while, so maybe not every night, every anymore, but I literally do this every night before bed.
Now I'm sitting here racking my brain, like, who can I forgive? Because I would love to experience, the weightlessness and all the positive effects that come with releasing these type of low vibrational emotions.
Now, there are some negative effects that might happen too. When you change your vibration, when you change your energy, new people are going to morph into your life. Jim Rohn has one of my favorite quotes in the world. You are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So who are you spending time with? That being said, when you start living in more in joy and more in happiness, which is your birthright, and you get rid of the negativity and a lot of this toxic stuff that you've been carrying for years and years and years, new people are going to be attracted to you like a moth to a flame. So new friends will come in. But that being said, some people you live with, know, and love might leave because they like the old you. They don't want the new you. They want the old you. So two things are going to happen. They're either going to turn into jackrabbits and leave, and you'll never see them again. And I have about a dozen people who did that to me, and I've never seen them again. Did it hurt? Sure, it did. And I popped them right on my forgiveness list, and I had to make a couple passes before I was able to really move beyond it. And then there are the people that you probably live with that are going to try and sabotage you. Don't let them. Keep doing what you're doing, because the more happy you get, the more miserable they get, which might be entertaining depending upon who it is. And if you're living with a narcissistic number 10 unforgivable person, may I say from the bottom of my heart, try and find other living arrangements because it's toxic.
A lot of teachings suggest that forgiveness is necessary for healing. Do you think
Mhm.
that people can heal without forgiving?
Yes. Let's take an example. And usually men say this to me. They will say, I have gotten where I am in life through my anger. I've made a lot of money. I've come very far in my career, and my situation, my story, my what happened to me was the gasoline that I put into my car that made me go forward. Okay, let's talk about that. You walk into a hotel. There's 2 elevators. You walk into one elevator, and you want to go to the 72nd floor. But right before you came in, a 10-year-old kid pressed every single solitary button all the way up to the 72nd floor. So you're going to get to the 72nd floor, but you have to stop at every single floor with new people and old people coming on. And by the time you get to the 72nd floor, I lived in New York City. This happened to me more than once. You are not yourself. You are a shadow of your former self by the time you get up there. Or you could take the express. Both elevators will get you there. But hatred and negativity, eventually, yeah, you can get there if you want to. But love, happiness, joy, and gratitude will get you there twice as fast and will get you even farther than the other elevator will. So you can get there. You can do it that way if you want. The universe is very, very quick to say we can do this the easy way, or we can do it the hard way.
How about the stairs? What if someone took the stairs?
You could take the stairs, but the elevator is much quicker. All these roads will lead to the 72nd floor, but I'd rather take the express with only maybe a few buttons that people have hit. It's much easier. Take it from somebody who did take the local elevator. I mean, I've done a lot in my life. I grew up from a pretty alcoholic background with my parents. Tried to commit suicide in the 8th grade. I've had breast cancer, money problems, you name it. It's probably happened to me, and I'm crazy. I write about it. I've written a lot of books. But what I've discovered over the years is keeping forgiveness in my heart, keeping joy in my heart has kind of allowed me to have a so-called bulletproof vest around my body because I can look back at my childhood now, which was very dysfunctional, and I could probably come up with some of those hard memories if you really pressed me, but I really don't remember them anymore. Honest to God. I remember the adults who were trying to help that kid back there, the kid Catherine. I remember the love that's there. I can come up with some funny stories that I couldn't come up with before. And a lot of my childhood is now just kind of a blank. I kind of don't remember it. It's not that I'm in my 60s and I'm losing my mind. It's possible. But it's mostly because I've literally changed my past because I have forgiven it all. And I've replaced it all with love. And I know a lot of people who are saying, I don't want to go back to my past. That's fair. I get it. But I'm only asking you to go back once or more, once or twice more, because how do you know you've forgiven somebody? If you can go on social media and see or write their name on a piece of paper, and if you can look at that name and not feel anything, you don't want to do anything to this person. If you just have a neutral attitude about it, that's it. You've forgiven them. Forgive and forget, that's another saying that is completely wrong. Nobody's going to forget. Nobody. I don't know anybody who can forget. But what I can promise you, by using the system that I've come up with, you can remove the emotional charge. So you're not going to care. You're not going to think good. You're not going to think bad. You're not going to care. That's what I'm going for. I'm going for neutrality. So when you run into these people at a party, you're literally not going to care. You could go up and talk about the weather. You're not going to care. Will your boundaries still be in place? You betcha. I still don't want a relationship with you. Please stay at least 10 feet away from me, please. But if you could talk to them if you wanted to, because you won't care.
What if someone can't remember their past? So say that something very traumatic happened when you were a child, a very young child, and it's buried so deeply into your subconscious, you don't remember it. You haven't thought about it, but there is that anger in your body. How can you find it and let it go if it's suppressed so deeply in you because of how early on it happened and because of how traumatic it was? That you can't even reflect on it or recognize it.
I think you could chip away at memories. You start with doing something very general by saying, I completely forgive my childhood and the energy around it. One and done. I completely forgive myself for anything I may or may not have done in my childhood and the energy around it. Two and done. And you do that every night and you slowly chip away at it. Your brain is protecting you. That memory may never surface. And it might surface, but if it doesn't surface, at least you can chip away at the memories. You'll have little pockets of memories. Well, after you say those things, you're going to start to remember, oh, yeah, I remember a little red wagon. Okay, well, you have no memory of why you remember a little red wagon. Happened to a friend of mine. So she forgave the little red wagon and the energy around it, even though she didn't have any idea why she was forgiving it. So when you sit down to write your list, if you write weird things like a little red wagon or the swing set, or you remember a four-poster bed at a bed and breakfast, you have no idea why you're remembering this particular bed at a bed and breakfast. And there's an argument to be made that maybe you don't want to know. Maybe something horrific happened. So you can forgive the bed, the energy around the bed and breakfast, and the energy around the bed and breakfast, and just walk away from the entire memory. And then see how you feel. Put that bed on a piece of paper and in your gut, what would you rate it? Is it 10? Is it a 5? Or is it just some random bed and maybe it's a level 2? Just put it into the mix of your forgiveness. This system is actually also really good to do with a partner, friend, sister, brother, parent, whatever. I only have one word of warning. Whoever you decide to do this with, make sure that they can keep a secret because you're going to be diving into your past and you may or may not want that posted all over the world. And make sure this person isn't on your list, right? And when you write your list, make sure this person is completely free and clear from any anger and vice versa. So if you want to do it with a partner, just make sure it's a safe place and a safe person who won't post it all over social media. But I know a lot of couples who do this, and it works very well for them, really well.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I'm thinking of who I want to do it with that I know now that would be so beneficial for them.
As long as they can keep a secret. Because you may tell them, if you have that memory from your childhood and that back closet of your mind opens up and it comes out. That
Mhm.
happened to me actually. And I happened to be with two really, really tight friends of mine, so they caught me when it happened. But make sure you're with somebody who can catch you when it happened, who can ask you the right questions. I'm
Mhm.
not saying you need therapy or you can go to a psychiatrist, although you can. But you can do it with people. If you think you have a very sensitive memory back then, you don't have to necessarily do this alone. A lot of people do this alone, but you don't necessarily have to.
You mentioned forgive and forget.
Mhm.
Are there other common myths about forgiveness that you can clear up?
I think the biggest myth that I have about forgiveness, and it's one that I've mentioned, but it sure does bear repeating because I can't tell you how many people approach me with it. I don't want to forgive them because that means they're right. Means I'm giving in, means I'm giving them a pass. I can't tell you how many people come up to me and say that to me. And it's wrong. 100% wrong. You're not giving in. What you're doing is you're freeing yourself. What you're really doing is you're taking their name and you're removing it from your head. The person you're mad at doesn't even know you're mad at, probably. And they're conducting their life. They're going out for dinner, they're going to work, they're happy. They don't know you're really living and breathing all this toxic anger. And of course, women, it's always women, never men. We want them to be, we want, if it's an ex, we kind of want you to mourn a little bit, at least a couple weeks. I had an ex way back in college and we broke up, and a week later he was with somebody else. And I kind of wanted him to mope for at least a month. Don't just, come on now. At least show a little respect. But they don't always do that. And was it his fault or mine? It was mine because he was living rent free in my head. And I was the one who was focused. And I was the one who was eating a pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream and crying. And I was the one who was miserable. It's like, when this kind of stuff, it's like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies,
Mhm.
you know? So you're the one that's miserable. So you're the one that you're forgiving. It doesn't have anything to do with them. Forgiveness is selfish, a good kind of selfish.
Your book, The Ultimate Path to Forgiveness, suggests that forgiveness can unlock power within
Mhm.
us. Can you explain what you mean by that and provide a real life example?
Unlocking the power within you, it really means you're getting your power back. You're giving your energy and your power to all these people that you're angry at. So now you're just calling back your own power. So you're not going to listen to anybody else tell you how to run your life. You're not going to, you're not going to listen to the news to tell you to do this, that, the next thing. You're now going to be able to be your authentic self. You're not going to listen to your past family, your birth family, who told you that you should be this and you should be that. And when you go back for Thanksgiving, they still think you're that kid. Well, you're not. You're going to get your power back. You're going to be able to be your authentic self. The person you came onto this planet to be when you were born, you are finally going to be able to be that person, whoever that is, and whatever that means to you. Does that mean a lot of money? Maybe. Does that mean health? Possibly. Does it mean a beautiful home? Maybe. Does it mean you just want to help people and you don't care where you live and you just want to, live in a tent? Maybe. Everybody's different. Whatever that means to you, you're going to be able to lead a life of joy and prosperity, however you word it. That's where the power is.
What have we not covered yet that comes up frequently when you're speaking about forgiveness?
People don't understand that you really can forgive things. I am a stage 3 breast cancer survivor. I forgave cancer and the energy around it. The actual word. I sat there and said, I forgive breast cancer. I forgive the energy around breast cancer. I forgave the chemo drip. I forgave the chair that I sat in. and the energy around the chair. I forgave radiation and the slab that I had to lie on. I forgave the doctors and the nurses. I forgave cancer for making me do a double mastectomy. I'm actually not kidding. I forgave 1974. Why did I forgive 1974 and the energy around it? Because that was the year that I tried to commit suicide. I was getting bullied. My parents were getting a divorce. It was a sucky year, to be honest. Now, I did pull apart the memory and I forgave all the players in that year. But at the end of the day, it was still bothering me. So I just decided I'm just going to forgive 1974. So you can forgive cancer. You can forgive your illness. You can forgive the wheelchair that you're stuck in. It's going to free your mind. It's going to free your body so you can notice that there might be some healing treatments that might help you. Why didn't you notice it before? Because you were too focused on the anger behind the fact that I'm stuck in this chair. I had a car accident or whatever it was. This is where your power is. It's going to free your mind so you can focus on other things. It's going to change your perspective. So instead of looking at the world like it's the worst place in the world and there's negativity all around me, you're going to see it as positive. See, the universe doesn't say no to you. If you look at the universe and say, I am so tired of paying my bills. I have so many bills. I have more time than money. The universe is going to look at you and say, okay, here's some more bills to pay because this seems to be what you want. Not really what you want, huh? That's why people will tell you to say these positive affirmations because the universe is going to look at you and it's going to say, well, I guess this is what she wants. But this same thing, it's just like forgiveness. You can't go from a number 10 down to a 1. You have to back it out slowly. You have to back it out slowly. Change your mindset slow so it sticks. And forgiveness and gratitude, that will get you there.
If you could distill the essence of your book into one actionable takeaway for someone struggling with forgiveness, what would that be?
I would say forgive yourself. This is the first book of 3. The next book is about how to forgive yourself. I'm going to go into more detail on how to forgive the unforgivable, and I'm going to talk about how to forgive money. Hello, money is energy. But if I had one thing to instill in people, I'd say forgive yourself. Who you were yesterday is not who you are today. The person I was as a teenager, that's not me today. It was many years ago. And so I forgave myself by going decade by decade by decade. I forgave that kid because she did the best that she could. And she, at the end of the day, she only had limited tools. I can forgive that kid. And then I kept moving. You see, women more than men have this little bug that they don't think they're worthy. I think society is the one who's done this to all of us. And my message is you are worthy. You are worthy to live a life of joy. You're worthy to live a life of prosperity and love. You're worthy enough to forgive people because you are made for better things. So forgive yourself and then keep going.
Beautiful. I have 2 closing questions. Before I ask them, where would you like to send the listeners? Where could they find the books?
They can find my books on Amazon. I do have the audiobook, paperback, and the ebook available because I understand not everybody likes to read. And you can also go to my website, which is katharinegiovanni.com. And thanks to my mother, my first name is spelled a little odd. Thanks, Mom. Katharine Giovanni.com.
Wonderful. That will be in the show notes. And my first question is, what is your number 1 health tip? So that could be diet and nutrition, physical, emotional, spiritual, the one piece of advice that you would like everyone to know.
Before you go to bed every night, write down the 3 things you're most grateful for every night. One night, all I could write down is I'm grateful I had a hot cup of coffee today. And I couldn't even come up with 3. Write down anywhere from 1 to 3 things every single solitary night. And that's going to start the party. And it's going to get your brain going from a negative to a positive, from lack to abundant, because you're going to look at your life and you're going to pick out the positive things, the things you're grateful for. Even if you're only grateful that there's running water coming out of the tap, write that down. It doesn't have to be Moses parting the water kind of thing. It could be something simple, but do that absolutely every night. And even just that little thing is going to change your life.
It's a great reminder, something that I used to do, but yeah, I think it affects your mindset more than we would realize until we actually put it into practice.
I usually come up with 3 things I'm grateful for, and then I do a few forgiveness rounds, and then I go to sleep. It's kind of like my prayers at night. That's kind of what I do every night.
I love it. For your last question, you get to choose a number 1 through 100, and it will correlate to your question.
33.
All right. These are personal. How do you cultivate inner peace in a chaotic world?
That's a really good question. Um, Quite honestly, the way I cultivate inner peace is I will anything that makes me angry that day, and I really mean this. I have gone through my forgiveness list a couple times now because I've been doing this a very long time. So now when it comes to my forgiveness list, it's usually things that, excuse my language, piss me off during the day. And it could be CNN that I'm watching. And the way I cultivate inner peace is I do try and spend at least 20 minutes a day silently, just kind of sitting. I'm a terrible meditator, and because my brain is very hard to turn my brain off, I will just sit in silence and let my brain go wherever it wants to go. And I will sit there and quietly write a list of things that might have pissed me off, and I'll do my gratitude and forgiveness before I go to bed. And it kind of keeps me grounded and it keeps me on solid ground. That's how I do it.
Katharine Giovanni, incredible. Thank you for your work. I honestly, from my own life experience, don't know that there's anything more important than releasing low vibrational emotions from the body, which is exactly what you are teaching. So
Yep.
I greatly appreciate everything you're speaking about today and everything you've written about. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.